Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Brandon. Welcome to Audio Addiction, where you can find latest album reviews. You can find our band interviews, and you can find live coverage of the concerts that we get. It's a little bit slow in terms of concerts. The next one I'm probably going to is to see Tillian at Voltage. So if you are at that show or if you like that type of music, let me know. I'll also be doing an album review of Actor Observer. Hopefully that will be going out this upcoming week or this weekend, depending upon how busy it is. But I'm going to be doing that. And then also Rose View is coming out next week as well, so if you enjoy that type of music, definitely be on the lookout for that. But tonight we're going to be talking about Abandoned by Bear's new record, Headstorm. So shout outs to Poeta, more specifically George. I saw these guys back at Launch Conference in 2017. He told me to go check them out, and I instantly fell in love with them. Really like that sort of easy core vibe. I've always been a fan of that. But this band is really cool. They're from Sweden. They are a pop punk, easy core, alternative sort of band. And I really wanted to do a review of this. It was an album that I was looking out for. But I was kind of a little bit on the fence about picking it up or checking it out, because I felt like the two singles that they had released, while they were really catchy, they were more along the lines of just a straightforward pop punk track. So I thought that maybe they had gotten rid of screaming in some way, shape, or form. But I was later surprised by actually how much good screaming is on this record. But I'm going to go through each track, give you my thoughts and opinions on it, go through some pros and cons on the record, and then finish it out with an overall rating. So the first track is one of the first singles. It is called So Far Gone. It happens to be one of my favorites as well. I think just over time I've grown to really love this track. It's a great pop punk track. It has some awesome groove. It has a great swing to it. Really digging this sort of upbeat, bouncy vibes of the track. Obviously aligns very much with their easy core sound, but it sounds awesome. I feel like it really hits its stride during the chorus. I feel like the chorus has some of the best hooks and will definitely get you singing along in no time. I know that a lot of people weren't really particularly a fan of the singles, but I, for some reason, really enjoyed them. I think it's a really well executed pop punk track, and I think it's a great opener to start off the record. So we're going to move into track number 2, which is Headstorm. This is the other single that they had released. They released a hilarious music video for that, so go check it out. But it also happens to be one of my favorite as well. Just keeping with the sort of infectiousness of the tracks that they've released, has been really great. This one is another just phenomenal one. Similar to bands like State Champs, it has that real good catchy element to it, but also 4 Years Strong, obviously borrowing from that pop punk, but also easy core aesthetic as well. Another phenomenal chorus. I think they've written some really awesome, catchy, memorable choruses that just have that hook to them, and I really enjoy that. Also, I feel like it really just elevates the song as well, and it's a bit mellower than the first track, So Far Gone, but I still think it retains a lot of the sort of fun, happy pop punk vibes that you are synonymous with in this sort of genre. So we're gonna move into track number 3, which is Strangers. This one has a really cool sort of progressive instrumentation to it. I know that their guitars, I feel like, borrows a lot from, like, you know, progressive metalcore, even a little bit of he has that sort of vibe about him. Even their drummer has sort of that sort of vibe to it as well, but also playing into a lot of their easy core aesthetics, you know, like 4 Years Strong, Chunk No Captain Chunk. I feel like bands like that really come to mind when I'm listening to this track. The screaming is a welcome addition as well. So far, the tracks haven't had screaming in it, so it was a nice little taste of what's going to happen throughout a little bit later on in the record. But I felt like initially this track didn't really strike me as a really great track out the gate, but just because I feel like it could have used a little bit more pizzazz. But as I keep listening to it, I feel like this track for me on this record is a grower track. It's just one of those tracks that every time I'm listening to it, I'm like, okay, it keeps getting better and better each time I put it on, and I think I'm starting to love it. It's really good so far. The bridge is probably my favorite part. I feel like it's not long enough. It just really breaks up the track in a unique way, and so far they really haven't had one of those really more like more technical bass tracks so far yet. So I really enjoyed the pacing of this track. I think it's a solid one. Definitely pretty close to my favorites, but maybe I just need to listen to it a few more times. But we're gonna move into track number 4, which is Borderline. This one is not Borderline. It happens to be one of my favorites. Terrible pun, I know. But this is another great track. I think it's the best of what they do in terms of combining a lot of elements of easycore and metalcore into one track. I know easycore obviously borrows from metalcore and pop punk. I just felt like I needed to say that. But I like the way that the vocalist switches off. I feel like I didn't really recognize that too much in the previous tracks, but it just really stuck out to me in this one, just because literally one of the singers is doing singing as well as screaming, which I think is awesome. And it's just something that makes them, to me, a unique band that I'll remember. And it's definitely something that I remembered about this band even till this point now. It has a nice edge to it and aggression that I really felt like was missing in the sort of first 3 tracks of this record so far. And it features the most screaming off the record so far as well. I know Strangers had some screaming, but I feel like this one definitely, you can get a little bit more of a meatier scream to this track. Definitely between the 1 minute and 20-second mark to around the 1 minute and 50-second mark are my favorite part of the track. Another great breakdown. I think it really is showing off and highlighting a lot of the best of what Abandoned by Bears does, and has a great balance of melodicness but also some awesome heaviness that is well needed so far in this record. So we're gonna move into track number 5, which is Blurry Vision. This one is another favorite of mine as well. The guitar work in this track is absolutely killer. Like I've been mentioning, they kind of borrow from that progressive sort of style of metalcore, which I really appreciate. Much like Borderline, I think it has an awesome balance of heaviness and melodicness as well. Fun and happy, but also really bouncy, and one of those tracks that I feel like you can just get hyped about. The instrumentation really makes this track. I think it is really definitely the standout piece or puzzle piece that's missing in this track, and I really enjoy it. The structure of the track are really well arranged. I'd say even more so than Borderline. It just feels a little bit more cohesive. The singing is really awesome as well. I'm really loving the harmonies that they've been doing. They definitely stepped out of their comfort zone for sure. It feels like they really elevated their game, and I appreciate that. The group vocals towards the end of the track was really nice as well. It was a nice addition, and I think that they just really expanded upon what they know and what they can do well, and I appreciate that about this track. So we're gonna move into track number 6, which is Stepping Stones. The vocals, again, another really vocally heavy driven track, and I think it is also really great. The way that they arranged it is really awesome. You can hear what each vocalist does and what they bring to the table and what they do just uniquely, and you could definitely hear the difference between the two vocalists. I feel like one of them does a lot more of that higher range stuff, and then their screamer slash singer, he does a lot of those sort of low range, but just the way that they harmonize together really is awesome. And I feel like I feel like for me, a band that does that phenomenally is 4 Year Strong. I might have a little bit of bias because I grew up listening to them, but I feel like they just have that sort of vibe that Dan and Alan have. So I definitely appreciate that. The instrumentation is really solid as well in this track. It brings a really great dynamic to the table. The heaviness and screams seems a little bit unnecessary in this track. I think it would have had the same effect throughout the song if it wasn't in there. It could have been maybe a little bit of a step down from like So Far Gone or like Headstorm. I feel like they could have gone that route. It's just maybe missing that little bit of pizzazz that I was expecting. So we're moving to track number 7, which is Fervor. This is another one that I think the guitar work is great, especially the lead guitar. I think it is really awesome. It adds another layer of depth to the track that I felt like was definitely needed, and it kind of switches things up a little bit. Another well-written, well-executed track, but I just feel like it's missing that hook that gets me pumped about even the sort of the softer songs, like I mentioned, So Far Gone and Headstorm. Those are softer tracks, but I feel like they have that groove. They have that just that earworm sort of hook to them that I like. There is this really cool part in this track that I feel like really separates this track from the others, and also is one of my favorite parts. It's from the 2 minute mark to around the 2 minutes and 30 second mark. I really broke it up the track really nicely, and I think it's a welcome change of pace in the track. Nonetheless, I feel like it is just outside of my favorites, but again, I feel like it's just missing that little bit of element that would have made this song awesome. So we're gonna move into track number 8, which is Drowned Out, which is by far the best track off the record, maybe tied with Greyscale. I feel like those two, no pun intended, Greyscale, but I feel like those true tracks have the best heavy elements, but also have the best sort of vocal lines. I'd say even more so in Drowned Out. It really has those super bouncy parts, but also really is super damn catchy as well. It has an awesome blend of punchy riffs, but awesome hooks, and I just feel like the counterbalance between the two is really just works in tandem together. The singing is great as well. I'm loving the screams. It really brings the heavy to the track, and I feel like it was a song that I was missing in this record so far. It was one of those songs that I knew was coming, but I was just not ready for this one, especially the ending, starting at 250 to the end. Probably one of my favorite easy chord breakdowns. It's definitely top 10. I think they just did a phenomenal job, and it gets me hyped every time this track comes on, without a doubt. So we're moving to track number 9, which is Outrun Reality. This one is another really great track. I feel like that highlights a lot of their softer side. The track starts off with acoustics, and around the 2 minute mark, I feel like it really kind of picks up to a full band track, which is definitely nice. I feel like a lot of bands don't really utilize that. They either keep it real soft, or they kind of just go straight into the heavy, or get into the more rock pace to the song. And I feel like this one has a nice build up to it to just kind of lead you into the track. Nice melodies. I think that it really highlights their vocalists a lot. I think typically acoustic tracks really highlight their vocalists, but I would say more specifically in this one, they really did a phenomenal job just arranging the tracks and kind of knowing what works and what doesn't. So we're going to move into track number 10, which is Held Against You. This is another really great track that I feel like is definitely going to be one of those underrated tracks off the record. It's a song where I feel like the guitar work really elevates the song. It really changes up the dynamics, and I think that just the way that they're able to kind of switch up riffs and really make the song fun and punchy, but also have that sort of pop punk catchiness that they're known for, really is awesome. I think that the thing that really surprised me the most was the vocals. I think they were really impressive. Some of those notes that they hit were really had me shook. I feel like they really did a phenomenal job with this, and just the vocals really kind of stand out, which has been really cool. One of my favorite parts is this cool sort of change up at the 1 minute and 50 second mark to around the 2 minutes and 10 second mark. There's this really nice tight change up that I feel like a lot of people won't really notice because it's pretty subtle, but it's so good. And every time I get to that track, I'm like, damn, that is such a cool, subtle part that I feel like maybe more guitar players will kind of pick out, because I am a guitar player. So I definitely sort of picked that little nugget out, and I appreciate it. So we're going to move into the last track, track number 11, which is Greyscale. As I mentioned earlier, it's another favorite of mine. Digging this sort of softer, more like ambient melodic moment in the opening. But the song definitely is Riff City. I think the guitars really is just phenomenal in this track. It has, especially at the beginning and the first verse, have this sort of proggy like metalcore vibe to it, with blast beats, which again I have not heard. Quote me, you can quote me if you want. I have not heard a pop punk easy core band do blast beats in a long time. I'm not saying they are the first, but it is sick. They do it 2 times throughout this track, which is definitely awesome. The chorus is really sick as well. I feel like it's an underrated portion of the track, but I think it works very well, and it definitely sticks out, but I think it's a welcome stick out moment. Definitely the heaviest track off the record, period. I think that maybe a close second is Drowned Out. I feel like those two are definitely the heaviest tracks off the record. and it's a very different one. It has more of that ambient and proggy vibe to it. I feel like it's definitely the black sheep of the record, because a lot of the tracks, while they are really catchy, I feel like there's a lack of heaviness, and I feel like they're really drowned out. And Greyscale, and I'd say probably Borderline and Blurry Vision have some moments as well, but are really particularly the heavier tracks. I'd say a majority of them are pretty, self-explanatory, pretty straightforward, sort of pop punk with a little bit of edge in there. But nonetheless, a really great track to finish the record off with that I grew to love. So some pros and cons. I think it's really heavy. Like I said, there are some really heavy tracks in there, but I don't think it's laden with heavy tracks. I'd say that this record is definitely super catchy. There are just some hooks that really got me, especially the first 2 tracks would definitely be probably the most hooky, sort of catchy tracks off the record. Loving the dual vocals. I've always appreciated dual vocalists. I think that they are kind of underrated, and I definitely love what they're doing with this one. I think innovative instrumentals, the guitar work is really solid. I think it was something that was a little bit attuned to my ear, and I love that. And it's just well written, well constructed pop punk easy core tracks that I really love. Towards the middle, I would say there's a bit of a slowdown. I would say with probably more like Stepping Stones and Fervor. They just didn't quite grab me. They may grab you, but I felt like there's a bit of a slowdown. And I think there's also a little bit of an identity crisis as well. And what I mean by that is I feel like some tracks have more of that sort of heaviness, but also kind of mixing that like pop punk vibe to it. And then there's tracks that are just straight pop punk, and then there's tracks that are just straight metalcore. So I feel like there's just a little bit of deviation between all 3 of those, which is definitely nice. And I don't think it's a heavy con, but I feel like it's something to point out for those of you who are expecting maybe more of an easy core based album. So my overall rating for Abandoned by Bears Headstorm, I'm going to be giving it a 9.5 out of 10. I definitely feel like it's one you should go check out, go pick up. They are an awesome easy core band from Sweden, and I'm so excited to see them maybe twice on their tour, their Headstorm tour. It's going to be phenomenal. So if they do hit your city, go out and see them. Headstorm is actually out. It actually came out yesterday, so go pick it up. Please. It is a really phenomenal band, and first week sales means a lot to bands, so please go pick it up if you enjoyed it. And if you enjoyed this review, please like it, share it, subscribe. It goes a long way. Thank you guys so much for the support. Plenty of awesome updatable things coming in the future. A podcast is going to be put out very soon, probably within the next month or so. So definitely be on the lookout for that, as well as just awesome interviews and album reviews to come. So thank you guys for watching. My name is Brandon. We hope you got your fix, and we'll be talking with you soon. Peace. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Of course, if you enjoy what we do, make sure to go check out the other series we do. We do album reviews, we do band interviews, and we do live videos, so definitely go check that out. Hit that subscribe button. It really helps out our channel, helps us grow. Make sure to hit that like button as well. Go follow us on social media. That's all down below. We try to keep that as updated as possible. We also made a new website where we'll be posting photos of upcoming concerts and stuff like that, which you can go check out at audioaddictionmedia.com, and come get your fix with us, guys. Talk to you later. Deuces.